2006 Infinity G35 sedan. The reason I'm making this video is just to show you guys how simple it is to do an oil change. A lot of people out there, a lot of lube technicians today are just you know, full of shit, pretty much, just trying to sell you on a bunch of shit, trying to overcharge you with a bunch of schemes and whatnot in order to upsell. So we're just gonna show you guys how simple it is today. All right, I'm gonna hand it over to the cameraman now. So the first thing you guys want to do is take off the oil cap up top, and basically what that's gonna do is when you drain your oil, it's gonna let air out, and the oil is just gonna pour out faster than it would without the cap being taken off. How you doing? Good. All right, so let's see. Okay, so the tools that you're gonna need a ratchet. This car, the oil plug, I believe it's a 14 millimeter, and if it's too snug, I'm gonna use a wrench for leverage. Might have to, I might not have to. We'll check it out right now. Usually the plugs tend to get tighter with time, especially with the heat of the vehicle. They tend to get pretty tight, and sometimes the ratchet alone is tough to get the plug out. So we'll see what happens right now. Okay, let's see. Fofo, if you want to get the camera down here, if you want to come to the side over here, you could show pretty much what we're doing down here. All right, so this one, on this one, I didn't need the wrench for leverage, because it was fairly easy to take off. So another thing that I want to mention to you guys is, back in the day, a lot of cars didn't have these covers. The only cars that had covers were mainly luxury cars, especially Mercedes, BMW. They always have covers, or German vehicles. But Infinities have them too. And I'm not sure about all the Toyotas and Camrys today. I'm not sure, because it's been a long time since I did lube technician work. But I left the cover on for now, just to drain the oil, and then when I remove the oil filter, I am gonna have to somewhat remove the cover just so that I can get to the oil filter. That way the cover doesn't get full of oil. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and hold this cover so that our oil goes straight into the oil pan that I have. You want to line it up and make sure you put it where the oil is gonna fall, or else it's gonna go all over your floor. All right, as you guys can see, it was definitely time for me to get an oil change. That oil's pretty dark. So, with these cars, you put full synthetic. With full synthetic, you can go a little longer than a conventional oil. You usually have to do it every 3 months or every 3,000 miles. But with full synthetic, you can go a little longer. Probably, 5 months would be good, or 5,000 miles, somewhere around there. So we're gonna let that oil pour out. All of it's gonna come out fairly easy, because the oil fill plug is removed. If you leave it on, it takes a while for it to come out. But anyways, we're just gonna let it completely drain out. After that, the next step is gonna be taking that oil filter out and replacing it with a new oil filter. Once we have the new oil filter in there, we'll go ahead and make sure we have our oil pan plug here tightened. I did get a new one just in case. You can see this new one here. The reason I did that is just in case this one, you know, maybe the washer or something was bad, which it doesn't seem to be. It looks like the washer's still in pretty good shape, so I can still use it. So we'll see what we do here. The one thing that I don't want to do is have a leak. So you always want to make sure that when you're doing an oil change, you replace your plug if need be. Okay, so one thing I didn't bring was rags. Let me see if I have one in the trunk. You can stay right there, Popo, for now. I'll be right back, okay?
So he just left to get some rags. It's good.
Okay, so it looks like I forgot to bring rags, so what I'm gonna have to do is maybe just possibly either change my gloves or take the gloves off and do it with my bare hand when I put that new filter on. Either way, you do get a little bit of oil. That's the reason why I put gloves on. When you're doing an oil change, you get oil on your hands, because what it is that when you take that plug off, it kind of hits your hand. All right, so I think I'm gonna put the plug back on. It looks like most of our oil is pretty much drained. Also, I'm doing this outside, and looks like water's gonna start coming down, so I'm gonna try to get this oil change done before it starts pouring on us. All right, so oil plug's back in there. Once I start removing that oil filter, we're gonna have some oil come out too as well, so we'll take care of that in a second. Normally I don't put oil on my tools, but given the fact that we have to rush it, I'm gonna go ahead and just wipe them off in a little bit once I'm done with the service. All right, cool. So that's pretty tight. You don't want to over tighten it, because you don't want to strip the plug, and also you don't want to damage that washer. You don't want to break it. Then you'd have like a slow leak. All right, so we're gonna change this guy here. We have our 14 millimeter on there that we use for the oil drain plug, and we're gonna go to, I believe it's a 10 millimeter for this cover underneath the vehicle. We're gonna go ahead and remove it, and we are gonna go ahead and take that filter off, that oil filter. So I already took some of these screws off, and I put this one on just to hold this thing up while I drain the oil. But now we're gonna go ahead and do the next step, which is the oil filter. So I need to take this one off. Fofo, if you want, what you can do too is you might have to back up, because I have to come over here. So you might have to back up just a little bit, mijo. Okay?
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I didn't bring the tool for the oil filter. Hopefully I can manhandle it with my hands, because you're supposed to use a oil filter wrench, and I left it in the other car, so hopefully I don't have to step away to go grab that. We'll see how tight this is. It's a fairly small filter. Those filters tend to get tight with the heat too as well, so I'm hoping that I can just manhandle this and take it off.